Another thing I'll be making today also is apple crisp right on the grill. So I'm going to make that first. I'm going to use the indirect method in order to make it, put it in a pie pan, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Also, I may have to add some fuel before we put steaks on today. And before that happens, I'll show you how it's easy to refuel on a Weber grill. Now, this will also work on all kinds of Weber grills, the 18-inch, the 22-inch kettles, and of course, on the ranch kettle. Now, some folks might say, boy, a ranch kettle, you're gonna feed a whole herd of people. How can you do that during this pandemic? Actually, one of the benefits of the ranch kettle is that you can cook under whole logs. So having mini logs in here and having charcoal as the perimeter will ensure that you'll have smoke the whole process that you want. If there's too much smoke, it's very easy to roll the log away. One other huge benefit, even for making food for a small number of people, is that it has incredible temperature control. So you can move the food away physically from the fire because we're going to be using two-zone cooking. Maybe you remember that from an earlier video. So we'll have all the charcoal, all the fuel on one side of the grill. The other side, the cooler side, will have no food present under there. So we're going to be doing indirect cooking. And in that way, because there is such a cool side, there's even the far side where I can move some things all the way to the edge. That ensures a pretty sophisticated temperature control, which isn't always possible unless you have something like a porcelain enamel surface, which is present in Weber grills. Now it's been about, I came back a little early, about 6 minutes, and I already see some flames starting to pop up. But we'll come back when we're ready to dump. So I'm trying to spread the lit charcoal on top of the unlit. And I'll put this wood log here as a little barrier, just slightly touching, and then place the cooking grate on top. Now the ranch kettle has dampers on the bottom. It has 3. I have those fully open. And now I have the apple crisp. So I'm going to place that under indirect heat right on the other side of the log. I'm going to close the lid, make sure the top damper is fully open. And it's time for a beverage. So I put some potatoes on, and those, just a few, I have under indirect heat. Okay. So you see that they're starting to get brown around the edges. I can do a final crisping up right at the end. See, our log is right here. So I put some potatoes on, and those, just a few, I have under indirect heat. Okay. So you see that they're starting to get brown around the edges. I can do a final crisping up right at the end. See, our log is right here. Okay. And it'll catch fire whenever I have the lid up. But I'm ready to put our steaks on. So first, I'm going to do a final scraping just to make sure it's clear. Okay. And also, here I have the steaks. So I made a mixture of cornstarch and salt. Okay. Cornstarch and salt, and just coated, painted both sides and the edges of the steaks with the mixture, the salt being extra coarse kosher salt. Put it in the freezer for a couple hours. That drains all the moisture into the pan. Okay? Now, I took it out about a half an hour ago, and it's still pretty cold. That's okay, but I want to make sure there's some oil on the steaks themselves because I don't want them to stick. We'll start it on direct heat. These aren't too thick. And then move over to indirect. Then we'll check with an instant read thermometer. So lifting it up one more time, one scrape of the cooking grate. Okay. Notice there's a hinge grate right in here. Okay, I could pop that open. Okay, and I can always add more coals if I need to. But I won't need to do that because I used what's called the Minion Method. Unlit coals underneath, hot coals on the top. Now, place the steaks right over direct heat. And here's a large one for my son. Then, as George Stephen would say, I'm going to rotate the apple crisp one more time. Make sure that lid is closed. And we'll come back in just a few minutes and then see if they're ready to flip. The way we'll know that they're ready to flip is they won't be sticking. So this one, center one, I'm just going to move over indirect heat. Look at that. And this baby is still, it's a little tagging. Okay. I'm going to move that over to the hotter part because I can see this one was done first. Place that right there. Rotate the apple crisp again. Margie made that. Looks beautiful. In fact, today is our anniversary, so nice little treat. Now we'll take a look at those steaks, and I'm going to shift to a different set of tongues. Move this under indirect heat. Always check. All right, that's still a little cool. So you plunge the thermometer into the center, then as you move it out, you get the true temperature, which is about 100. Here, it's very hot. This one is 65. So that's actually cooler than I expected. I'll just move a portion of that. Let's take a look if this is ready to, look at that, beautiful. Okay, move that under indirect heat. Just let that continue for a couple of minutes. I'll come back, check the temperature. One more time. Get the light to turn on. All right. That one is done. I'm going to move these a little closer. Okay. Potatoes look like they're finished. Okay. It's easy to take a look at those. You can just simply try to pierce them. Oh, they're done. There's just one that isn't. There's the apple crisp. Pulls out clean. Looking good. And I think we're ready. Steaks, small potatoes, apple crisp. Great for an anniversary dinner. See you next time.